Welcome in, everybody. Mackey Arena in West Lafayette, Indiana, for Purdue and Michigan. And yes, we're a little bit late. 1:49 to go in the first half. Purdue leads Michigan 37-33. And it's safe to say that we may have seen a couple of bumps in the road on the way down to
Only
West
a couple.
Lafayette this morning. A flat tire, some audio issues, and we're finally back. We've got 21 minutes and 49 seconds to broadcast to you, including halftime, to try and catch you up on everything that's been happening here. Purdue's had leads as high of 8, and this place, Mackey Arena, is the real deal. It is a ruckus environment, and the Purdue paint crew, they call them, they have packed this place, and they have not left their feet since tip-off, we heard. My name's Zach Linfield. I'm here with Neil Sinha, and we are here to give you the last 149, at least, of this first half, with Michigan having possession of the basketball, and Devontae Jones will control it for the Wolverines. So after an 18-minute layoff of technical difficulties, we're here with Terrence Williams controlling it the right wing, defended by Newman. Back to Devontae Jones left wing, defended by Jaden Ivey, one of the best players for Purdue. Jones throws up a wild shot, blocked out of bounds by Ivey. 1:33 to play in the first half, 14 on the shot clock. Neil?
Well, showing that those hops that he has. I mean, Jaden Ivey, he's an NBA prospect for a reason, projected to be a top 5 pick. And how about that block right there on Devontae Jones?
Eli Brooks, Caleb Houston, top of the key, defended by Stefanovic. It's a screen from Dickinson. Back top of the key to Dickinson. He's got a couple of threes, 3 specifically so far. Jones inside Dickinson. He lost it, taken away by Travion Williams. Over to Stefanovic for Purdue.
Yeah, and it was a good idea by Devontae Jones there, a little pick and roll, but the pass just unable to be handled by Hunter Dickinson.
Isaiah Thompson, the junior guard from Fort Wayne, Indiana, controlling against Devontae Jones. Michigan playing about a double team. Stefanovic top of the key to Jaden Ivey in the corner for a three-point try. Off the front of the rim and out. Rebounded by Mason Gillis and put back in.
Yeah, and that's a case of not boxing out there by the Wolverines. They have to be disciplined. That's something that Juwan Howard will certainly be talking about at halftime, because Wolverines are down 6 right now, and it's a few of those little mistakes that they can fix and be right back in this.
Devontae Jones working around a double screen. Back to Houston. Houston drives, gives to the corner where Terrence Williams is at, to Eli Brooks at the left wing, defended by Ivey. Under 10 on the shot clock. Brooks, behind the back dribble, back to Williams. Williams, a drive inside the paint, put it up with one hand and no good. Didn't come close to the rim. Ivey grabs the rebound for the last shot for Purdue.
And Ivey will be keen on just letting this shot clock, game clock, just completely run out here as Purdue will get the last shot.
Instead, they give it to Isaiah Thompson. Juwan Howard urging the Wolverines in the defense. Ivey by the Purdue logo, 4 to shoot. Gillis, three-point try from the right wing, can't find it. Rebound to Williams, gives to Ivey in the corner, but the buzzer sounds. Michigan plays great defense on the final possession to only go into halftime trailing by 6. And it's safe to say that was a good half for the Wolverines against the 4th-ranked team in the country. We were able to see it. We weren't able to give you the coverage of it. But Michigan only down by 6. We'll take that after the deficit they originally had.
Yeah, and listen, this game reminds me a little bit of the Michigan State game that these Wolverines played in just last Saturday to be exact. And that's a great first half by Michigan right there. They're making their threes, 5 for 12 from 3 right now, which is something that the Wolverines have not done consistently all season long. And so the key for them right now is they need to get off to a big start in the second half. It cannot be an emotional letdown after a first half like they had against Michigan State. They have to come out swinging in the second half and keep up the 3 points or the 3-point shots, because that honestly is their biggest weapon today against such a great defensive team like Purdue.
Michigan with a 39-33 deficit. Hunter Dickinson led the way with 12 points. He made 2 different 3-point field goals for the Wolverines. And on the other end, Purdue had a bit more even scoring. Gillis with 8, Ivey with 6, Travion Williams had 9. Well, we were off the air and you were watching a little bit while we were trying to get the technical difficulties figured out. Who are you most impressed by from the Purdue side of things in that first half?
From the Purdue side, I think I'd have to go Travion Williams. Travion Williams is a player who seems to show up every single time he plays Michigan. In general, a lot of people have talked a lot about how Juwan Howard's interior defenses haven't been that great since he's come to Michigan, and Travion Williams has feasted on them. This is a guy who is in his 4th year with Purdue, and every single time he plays Michigan, he shows up and he absolutely feasts down low. There was a game, I think, 2 years ago where Williams had about 44 points or something like that against Michigan. I mean, he knows what he's doing against these Wolverines, and the same can be said of that first half with 9 points, 4 or 5 shooting from the field, and he made a 3-point shot, which is a little dangerous to think about. Travion Williams making threes.
And he's also second on the team in steals for Purdue. However, Travion Williams, he's had to sit the bench quite a few times this season due to the emergence of the 7'4" Zach Edie. And man, is he a presence down low? But Travion Williams, you'd have to assume he's probably one of Zach Edie's biggest fans for Purdue, because you can't have a rivalry like that on the team when you're trying to compete for that playing time.
Most definitely. And listen, I think Zach Edie's done a great job sort of stepping into a much bigger role this year for Purdue, in that Purdue has had very good centers in the past. I mean, you know, everyone remembers some of the big guys that they've had, like Matt Harns and so on, who of course transferred to BYU. But that has been a staple point for this Purdue team under Matt Painter. And so to get Edie coming in at 7'4", I mean, he is just an irritating presence down low in the interior for any team that's getting ready to go up against him. I mean, Zach, if I'm playing in this game and I see a 7'4" center and Zach Edie coming up at me, I'm probably just throwing up a floater and hoping it doesn't get blocked.
Well, you typically think that you're pretty safe with the guy at about 7'1" and Hunter Dickinson. And then you look across the hardwood and Zach Edie standing there at all 7'4" of him out of Toronto, Canada. And he's got 11 points. He's got 6 rebounds. And he's gotten a lot of help from a potential lottery pick in Jaden Ivey. We haven't necessarily gotten a chance to talk about him yet. We're always talking about Michigan guys. You like to do a lot of NBA talk with Jaden Ivey. What do you see in Ivey?
Oh, I absolutely love Jaden Ivey. I think he is a surefire top 5 pick in this upcoming draft. I think he is an absolute stud, to say the least. Listen, the player comparison that I would give for Jaden Ivey with an NBA player would be John Morant, who, of course, I think anyone who watches basketball, even if you don't watch the NBA, if you haven't been living under a rock, you know who John Morant is and what he's done this season, because he has been absolutely fantastic for the Memphis Grizzlies. And I think Jaden Ivey is a very similar type player to John Morant in that he has the explosive, athletic genes in him. I mean, the dude can simply jump. I mean, he's so fast off the break. His lateral quickness is unreal. Honestly, one of the biggest defensive critiques that I've seen of Jaden Ivey is that he plays too hard on defense, because he tends to rack up a lot of the fouls. But listen, I think Ivey is a fantastic player, and the last thing that I'll say on him is that this season, he's taken his three-point percentage from 29% last year to 43% this year. Say what you want about it, if it's a fluke or not, but it's working for him, and it's certainly working for the Purdue Boilermakers.
Michigan only trails by 6 at halftime with about 10 minutes until we're going to play ball. I'm assuming you'll stay on the call for a little bit since we are a little pushed out of that first half, and then Daniel Olson will join us for at least the final 10 minutes of the game. However, Michigan, to get back into this game, it's not like they're out of it. The three-point shooting, as you mentioned, has been superb so far, 5 of 12. A lot of it has been from Hunter Dickinson, 14 points. He's shooting 6 of 8, 2 for 2 shooting threes, and he is loving every single minute of it down on the hardwood, celebrating, looking right at the paint crew, which is Purdue's student section, and 14 points on the head of Purdue defense. Do you assume that he would have to continue to shoot like that in order to win this this basketball game?
No, I mean, I definitely would. Listen, this is a Michigan Wolverines team that has relied on the scoring of Hunter Dickinson all season long. I mean, he has carried this team to every single win that they've had. He has been a major factor in it. Against Indiana just 2 weeks ago in what was, not arguably, it was the biggest win of this Michigan Wolverines season. Hunter Dickinson was the main reason. He made, I'm trying to remember the number, I think 3 or 4 threes in that game. And so I think the offense for the Wolverines has to rely on Hunter Dickinson, and I think that he loves playing in these road environments. I mean, just the little bit that we've seen there at the end of the first half, Dickinson made 2 threes, and you know what he did? He just turned around to the student section, like Zach just said, and was just laughing it off, having a great time. This is what Hunter Dickinson lives for, and hopefully he keeps it going. I think the Wolverines in general, I've been saying this all season, they need to run the offense through Dickinson, because a lot of people want to talk about just his size, just his post-up ability, and so on. I think Dickinson is a fantastic passer. His ability to receive entry passes and look around the court and find open teammates is second to none on this Michigan team and one of the best in the Big Ten Conference.
Michigan being a little stunned, I think, on their guard play as well. Eli Brooks, Devontae Jones, and even Frankie Collins, they've been defended very tightly at the perimeter by Jaden Ivey and others such as Sasha Stefanovic. How do you see the guard play working out for Michigan in the second half? What do they necessarily have to do different, maybe to get the ball inside? I mean, it's a tough ask to go into Trevion Williams and Zach Edey. However, the guard play, you think, has to step itself up a little bit in the second half.
Oh, most definitely. And listen, that's why I said I think what Michigan should focus on for the second half here, if they want to have a shot, is try to go to Hunter Dickinson at the beginning of their half-court sets and then set a few off-ball screens for guys like Eli Brooks, shooters like Eli Brooks and Caleb Houston and so on, to free them up, and Hunter Dickinson will try to find them because he's a great passer. And the biggest thing that I've said all year with this Michigan team is that they don't make threes like they used to. You know, we all remember that John Beilein era of live and die by the three. That's not the case with this Michigan team. It hasn't been the case under Juwan Howard as much. And I think that the Wolverines might need to rely a little bit on it. And I think, honestly, that rests on the shoulders of Eli Brooks, someone who Michigan fans have been imploring all season long to start making plays and start hitting threes like he did last year on Michigan's run to winning the Big Ten.
Well, live from Mackey Arena, 14,000 plus the official attendance here, 14,804 displaced in seat, and 96-11 over the past 6 seasons is the nation's best in the NCAA for a home record. And they're known as the paint crew to the right and the left sides. And it's safe to say it's a little bit different from the Chrysler Center, Breslin Center. This place just looks a lot smaller. However, it still seats 2,000 plus more than the Chrysler Center does. Architecturally wise, now we're not architecture students. What do you think is different about Mackey Arena compared to most other arenas in the sense maybe it's a little bit smaller and the acoustics are just fantastic here?
No, I mean, yeah, I'll try to give my best design analysis.
Michigan will give you a degree for this one.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? But no, I mean, listen, I think Mackey, it's a weird stadium in that it looks very small from the outside. When you see like a bird's eye view of Mackey Arena, you'd probably think this place only holds like, I don't know, 10,000. Who knows? But the fact is what they do with their seating here is it's very vertical in that when you're sitting in the nosebleeds, you're seeing over everybody because it's very vertical. And so by doing that, they're able to, I think at least, hold a lot more people. Again, this is Neil Sinha, the mechanical engineer, giving input on the architectural design. But what I will say about Mackey Arena is that it is a fantastic spectacle of a basketball stadium. I mean, this is a place that just last year, which I know you know, Zach, was holding the NCAA tournament games. There's a few of those, and I think they did a great job.
Yeah, Michigan played in 64 here against Texas Southern, took care of business on their way to an Elite Eight appearance, in which they eventually fell to UCLA. But standings-wise here in the Big Ten, there's still a long ways to go. Purdue actually has to come to the Chrysler Center not too far from now. That's this Thursday. This coming Thursday.
It's weird,
yeah. The rescheduled game that was supposed to be in Ann Arbor in early January will be made up, and Michigan will be playing against the Boilermakers. And it's safe to say, as far as the rest of the standings go and the rest of the season, Michigan will probably need to take at least one of these games from the Boilermakers, at least one from Ohio State, Iowa, and hopefully they take down Michigan State at home as well. But Purdue currently stands in third place in the Big Ten. They're a full game behind Illinois. They're a half game behind Michigan State. However, I think this might be the most talented all-around team. The only thing they lack is true depth. Like Michigan State's depth is fantastic, but Purdue's starters and even the next guy on the bench, Trevion Williams, it's just fantastic. The talent that Matt Painter has here in Purdue.
Most definitely. And listen, I know, I have a lot of Purdue friends that often talk about that 2018 team with Carson Edwards that they had as being, the best Purdue team in a very long time. All Purdue fans thought that team was going to go to the Final Four. Maybe, the luck didn't go their way, and they didn't. But the fact is this is a very, very talented Purdue team. They've shown it so far this season. Another thing I'll say is that they are very impressive at home, too, because they simply do not lose in Mackey Arena. And I'm not surprised because of how great this atmosphere is. on the Michigan side, like you touched on real quick, this is a Wolverines team that is currently on the bubble for the NCAA tournament. It would have been unfathomable to think about, Michigan not being in the NCAA tournament at the beginning of this season after that great recruiting class that they had. But the fact is, right now they're on the bubble. Most bracketologists don't think that the Wolverines are in right now. So, like you said, it's key games like these that Michigan has to take advantage of. And the good news for them is being in the Big Ten, you have many of those opportunities.
Right. 96-11, Neil, in their past 6 seasons at home. Last year, they were 11-1 at home. The lone loss came to the Michigan Wolverines. In the history between these two, Michigan leads the all-time series 21-20. However, the Wolverines have taken each of the last 5 and both of the last 2 coming in West Lafayette. So there's something about the Wolverines playing here in Purdue that just gets them going and ready for this game because Michigan historically is not a great road team. However, something about West Lafayette gets into the veins of the Maize and Blue, and they're here only down by 6 to the number 4 team in the country.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I think when you look at where these two teams were just last year when Michigan came to Purdue and West Lafayette, they were in 2 completely different positions in that Michigan was competing for the Big Ten title, or Big Ten regular season title, I should say. And the Wolverines were ranked, I believe when they played Purdue, like number 3 in the country. And Jaden Ivey had just been coming off this crazy freshman scoring streak that he had. And Michigan stopped Ivey and ended up winning that game, which, like you said, they've done for the last 5 times in this matchup. And so Purdue, you have to think, has to be remembering that. Maybe Matt Painter even said that in the halftime speech there, that listen, they've lost to these guys 5 straight times. Something has to change that eventually, right?
Last time the Wolverines and Boilermakers played, Travion Williams had 14, Jaden Ivey had 12. Isaiah Livers led the way for the Wolverines at 22 points, but Hunter Dickinson had 8. He had foul trouble early, had 4 fouls. He still had an Ocho spot at the end. 1:30 until the second half here. 39-33 is the Purdue lead. We again apologize for the difficulties we had in getting here on time. However, like we said, life happens, and we have to give a shout out to a GM worker just inside the border of Indiana who gave us some help with the flat tire and changing that. And well, we made it, about 70 some miles on a spare to get here, going 50 miles an hour on the highway the whole way, but we're here. Nonetheless, we made it. And I'll tell you what, I'm glad we did because Mackey Arena is some other kind of space. And this place is going to get rocking here in about 55 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, Mackey Arena is just an absolute sports spectacle that you do not want to miss. I mean, when I walked in this place, I just turned to Zach and said, oh my goodness, this is absolutely crazy because it really does get very loud here. And also, I'll say, listen, we have a great game on our hands. I don't think too many people thought that Michigan would maybe only be down 6 at halftime. Who knows? But the Wolverines showed up in the first half. I think they did their best job so far. I mean, I think they can certainly do better in the second half. But we have a great game or a great second half coming up for all of you. So make sure to stay tuned on WCBN on YouTube.
You can probably hear in the background Michigan and Purdue getting into it. Both teams meeting with their head coaches. Matt Painter on the far left side of the floor. Juwan Howard for the Wolverines on the far right. Juwan Howard has never lost to Matt Painter in Purdue.
Yeah, and it's interesting, I mean, this is probably a recap that I know Michigan fans are a little tired of hearing, but who would have thought that this Michigan team would be in this position right now, playing a Purdue team that the Wolverines aren't ranked. They're just 11-8 on the season. They are 5-4 in conference, but they're just sitting on the bubble. Like I said earlier, most people have Michigan on their first 4 out or next 4 out in terms of the tournament. Well, what does a win against Purdue do for them today? Well, Purdue is a top 30 net ranking team. That means that this would be a quadrant 1 win, which is as good as it gets. And on top of that, Purdue's number 4 in the country in terms of the AP ranking. So a lot is left on the line. And like you said earlier, Purdue is fighting for the Big Ten title. So a big second half coming up here.
Gillis, Hunter Jr., Edie, Ivey, and Stepanovich for the Boilermakers. For Michigan, Diabate to inbound to Jones, along with Brooks, Dickinson, and Houston for the Wolverines at the timeline. Let's go for the second half. Michigan down by 6. Jones to Dickinson to Houston at the left wing. Dickinson, a free throw line jumper, rattles it home. Michigan down 4.
It's just crazy to think that Hunter Dickinson has added this jump shot to his game. Last year, he did not have that, and it just adds another bit to his versatility that has to scare any opponents.
Michigan comes out in a 2-3 defensive set. Hunter Jr. with the ball to Stefanovic in the left corner. Back to Hunter Jr. left wing. Looking to get it to Gillis. Hunter Jr. drives the lane. Inside the paint. Puts it up with the left hand. And it's pure.
Such a smart play there by Hunter. Just driving in, using the body of Eli Brooks to possibly draw a foul. Brooks didn't reach on it or jump on it, but he's still able to get a little pump fake and then an easy look.
Devontae Jones dribbles the ball to the right wing. Dickinson looks at a three-pointer, won't take it. Defended by Zach Edie. He gives a handoff to Houston, who tries a straightaway three. That rattles home. Michigan back within a possession.
And that's huge. I mean, like we said at halftime, the threes are going to be very important, and I think it starts with guys like Caleb Houston and Eli Brooks. Michigan fans have been asking all season long for Caleb Houston to start stepping up. We'll see if he can.
Hunter from the left wing gives to Gillis at the free throw line. Inside to Edie. 7'4" on 7'1". Can't get it to go, and he grabs his own rebound. Devontae Jones comes from behind, takes it away, but Stefanovic has it at the top of the key now for Purdue. Inside, Edie, and Matt Painter is urging for a foul, and the far side referee will give it to him. It's on Hunter Dickinson.
Yeah, and I think a lot of opposing centers are probably having a great time watching this for Hunter Dickinson, and that this is really like the only time all season long that he's undersized at his position, given that he's a 7'1" center. But Zach Edie, man, he is just a behemoth down low.
The 7'4" center has it right now. Hunter drives the lane, goes up, and it's no good. Rebound goes to Eli Brooks and knocked off Edie's hands. Here comes Brooks into the front court, drives in on Gillis, uses the window and splashes it through. It's a 1-point ball game here in West Lafayette.
Well, that was a very tough look. One that maybe Jace Howard would tell him next time to maybe take a quick stop there and then find open teammates, but he got that one to go off the glass.
Edie Brooks from the point, gives to Hunter at the left wing, defended by Jones in the 2-3 zone. Gillis is closely defended by Diabate. Haven't heard his name too much so far. From the right elbow, dribbles into the block goes Edie, defended by Dickinson, bumping back and forth, and the rebound goes to Eli Brooks. Devontae Jones gets the push inside the paint. Jones up and in, but it's a charge. The Michigan bench is all standing on their feet, asking for that one to be an and one.
And I think that was definitely the right call by the officials right there. It looked like he certainly had his feet set. But going back to the defensive possession that the Wolverines had real quick, Hunter Dickinson is going to have to keep bodying Zach Edie down low and make it hard for him to just get off shots.
All 250 pounds of Zach Edie. Gillis to the corner. Hunter drives. He's got a wide open lane. Gives it to Edie. He dunks it through with two hands. Help defense game from the far side from Dickinson. Not much he can do there. It's a 3-point game, 43-40. Purdue leads. Jones from the logo P at midcourt. TD court here in West Lafayette. Dickinson from the left wing. Looking for some motion on the offensive side. Houston from the corner. He'll drive. He'll kick back outside. Dickinson for a three-pointer. Give me that!
Are you serious?
They mark it as a 2. It's still a 1-point game.
What is going on? Hunter Dickinson is just splashing 3 after 3 today. He is 3 for 3 from 3. Wow.
Ivy drives, puts it up with the right hand, a floater's in. Bodies falling all over the floor. Dickinson inside the paint, trying to work into Edie. Uses the left hand, somehow gets a little hook shot to go home.
Wow. I mean, this isn't the game plan that I think necessarily Michigan would have wanted, and that they would probably try to attack the perimeter more. But Hunter Dickinson has been fantastic this second half. They're going to have to keep feeding him. He has 20 points, folks.
Jaden Ivey will drive in on Hunter Dickinson. Uses the right hand. He somehow gets that one to go. Man, that kid's incredible. 47-44. Devontae Jones is picked up at half court by Hunter. Gets a screen from Dickinson. Dickinson now reverses and gives him another screen. Jones into defender. And there's another charge. That's his third. Mason Gillis will take the charge, the sophomore from Fort Wayne.
And listen, it's hard, especially with the crowd here, but Juwan has to be yelling at Devontae Jones to start, as he just got subbed off actually for Kobe Buffkin. But Devontae Jones needs to be aware of Mason Gillis, getting ready to set up for charges, because that is the second straight, they're not straight possession, but second possession in the last 5 that the Boilermakers have drawn charges.
Now you could all of a sudden hear a pin drop before the boiler up chant start from the right and left side of the paint crew. Gillis top of the key, Stefanovic to Jaden Ivey, who's got the last 4 for the Boilermakers. He works in against Eli Brooks, between the legs dribble, finds his way into the paint, trying to find Edie. Ivey into contact and finds it home. He's got the last 6 for Purdue. Back to a 5-point spread.
I mean, you gotta be kidding me. That's just not fair for Eli Brooks. Ivey just using the massive size that he has.
And a foul will go against Mason Gillis and bring us to a media timeout. Excuse me, that's Eric Hunter picking up the foul. But man, Jaden Ivey, talk about a top 5 draft pick indeed. I think you're spot on with Ivey. He has done everything he's wanted on the last 3 possessions for Purdue, and that lead has now ballooned to 5 for the Boilermakers.
Yep, and listen, I think Michigan, that was a good start to the second half. They came out firing, and Hunter Dickinson specifically, my goodness, this dude is playing with a vengeance for these Purdue Boilermakers because he has just been attacking like crazy, and I love it for Michigan. Just keep feeding him down low. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. But the Wolverines are gonna have to start D'ing up. I think with Jaden Ivey, as great of a defender as Eli Brooks is, it's happened now 3 straight possessions where Ivey has dribbled in past Brooks and used his shoulders, you know, his big size to just bump Brooks off of him. In the future for the rest of this game, I think the Wolverines might need to look for Hunter Dickinson to start switching earlier. I understand that Purdue then has a matchup nightmare in Zach Edey. But the fact is, Jaden Ivey is cooking right now, and the Wolverines don't want to be burnt toast by the end of this game.
Michigan's only been burnt toast on 3-pointers by one guy in this game, Mason Gillis. And he's had a really underrated impact on this game because he's moving around the offense the best of his ability until Jaden Ivey gets the ball in his hands. And it's what the whole offense is engineered around. And it's kind of funny. You think about engineering here at Purdue. It's kind of what they're known for, right? But their offense has been engineered perfectly by Matt Painter for 17 years that he's been the coach here. He's 380 and 189 as he is the 6th winningest active coach in the NCAA.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy to think that Painter's been here for so long. I don't know. I remember at least 10 years ago, it felt like Painter hadn't been there for very long, but you know, he's just such a steady presence for the Purdue Boilermakers. He is truly one of the best coaches in the Big Ten for sure, and certainly in the country. Like you said, 6th most wins out of active coaches. That is, you know, that's fantastic. But that's what Matt Painter does. Like I said, very steady presence. And I think what's interesting about Painter and Purdue is that they don't need to recruit that well. They still turn out quite a few guys that end up being very productive D1 Power 5 players. Jaden Ivey being one of them. I know he was a higher rated recruit, but still, Painter has a good, I guess, diversity in terms of bringing a couple 5-star guys in and then making sure to develop the 3 or 2-star guys too.
And I'd say it's pretty easy when you have 2 guys that are on the Wooden Award watch list in the top 10, Jaden Ivey and Zach Edey. I would probably say that makes things pretty easy.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. And by the way, I want to give a quick shout out to Hunter Dickinson for making the final 10 or what am I trying to say here? The Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Award. Yes. Yep. He made the top 10 watch or whatever for that award. No surprise. I mean, Hunter Dickinson came into this season on the Wooden Award watch list and so on. But he has been fantastic for this Michigan team, and we'll see if he can keep it up for the rest of today.
And I'd say if Hunter Dickinson somehow gets himself into a bit more foul trouble, he currently has 2 fouls on the game. You'd like to see a little bit more from Moussa Diabate. He's shooting 1 of 3 today for 2 points. It's hard for him to get involved when Zach Edey and Trevion Williams are on the floor. But you figure they got to take advantage of that because there's got to be some kind of reverse engineering the Wolverines can do to get him on the boards.
Most definitely. Again, another reference to the engineering school here. Fantastic engineering school here.
I caught that. Buffkin into the game for the Wolverines. Eli Brooks controls it currently at the point. Gets a screen from Dickinson. Brooks wheels his way around to the left wing. Gets a double team from Stefanovic. He just throws it wildly and it's intercepted. Going the other way is Hunter. Hunter loses it. Diabate takes it away and Michigan's into the offense. Quick hands on both sides of the floor.
We'll see if Diabate can get a little something going here. Houston,
a pull-up jumper. That's nowhere near the bottom of the rim. Williams grabs a rebound. Edie into the front court. That's way too easy. Oh, my goodness. Look at Jaden Ivey. A flying two-hand stuff. He might have the best vertical in the Big Ten.
I mean, he makes it look so easy. And to be fair, Michigan gave him a police escort to the rim right there. But, man, Ivey is just an athlete to say the least.
Diabate from the right wing. He's defended by Gillis. Using his left-handed dribble to give it away to Houston. Brooks at the left wing. Looking for somewhere to go with the basketball. 6 on the shot clock. Gives into the corner. Diabate a 3. No good. Rebound goes to Hunter. This place will blow up with another basket. Travion Williams inside the paint. He gets a nice layup. Beautiful pass from Hunter. Michigan uses a timeout.
Yeah, it's a smart timeout by Jace Howard right there. The Wolverines coming out of the under 16 media timeout. Simply, we're just overmatched. I don't know if it was the lineup or whatever it was. But one thing I'll say is that if Moussa Diabate is shooting threes for Michigan, Purdue is very happy. Listen, it's nothing on Moussa Diabate. He's a great player, but he is not a good three-point shooter. So Purdue is going to leave him open behind the arc every single time. They're fine with the Wolverines taking those shots. What Michigan, like I said, needs to do is there needs to be much more off-ball movement with off-ball screens. You're not seeing too much of it right now. And if they can try feeding Dickinson down low to not just be a scorer, but as well as a passer, I think things might start opening up for Michigan because Purdue, and give them credit, has certainly stepped up their defense at the beginning of this half.
And then you talk about the flip side, and if Michigan's Moussa Diabate is making threes, everything's probably going right for him. So right now, Moussa Diabate just talked about him a couple seconds ago. 2 points. Caleb Houston, 3 points. Eli Brooks, 7 points. You figure someone other than Hunter Dickinson has to give this team a spark at some point, or this lead is going to get ridiculously high for Purdue.
Yeah, and listen, this is one thing that I think Michigan was very good at last year is that they had a great player in Hunter Dickinson, but they had many other great players in Isaiah Livers, Franz Wagner, and so on. Sean D. Brown, another one. That if Hunter Dickinson was having an off night, if Franz Wagner was having an off night, it didn't matter because you still had 2 or 3 other big-time Big Ten players to help them out. That hasn't been the case with this Michigan team. When Hunter Dickinson has struggled, which I'm not saying he has today by any means, but when he struggled or when they've tried to start going somewhere else, they just haven't found that production. Now, there's been a few games that Moussa Diabate has picked it up. Michigan would love for him to turn it on for the rest of this game. But again, I think it relies on Caleb Houston. He has just 3 points. He's just shot 4 shots in this game. I think the Wolverines need to see more of him, a little bit more aggressiveness from the freshman.
Michigan's energy level right now just seems a little bit too low to keep up with the energy level of Purdue, which just seems sky high. And you're talking about this place, they have a real 6th man. It's almost like they're playing with 7 guys on the floor with the way this crowd is for Purdue.
I mean, I was going to say, if they wanted to put up a sign saying the 12th man, I'd believe it because it feels like they have so many people playing for the Purdue Boilermakers because these fans are just fantastic.
Michigan trails 53-44 here in West Lafayette, 14:27 to play. And I think it's a distinct advantage, too, if we're talking just about the atmosphere, that their student section is located on both ends of the floor. It's behind one baseline to the right and one baseline to the left. And not one person is sitting down in this arena right now. Everyone's on their feet because they have a real trust in this team to take them as far as they could possibly go. They're ranked number 4 in the country. And Purdue has the talent to be one of those teams at the end of the year.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, Purdue they've had very good teams in the past. There's no doubt about it. They've made many tournaments under Matt Painter. But the next step that many Purdue Boilermakers fans have been asking for, pleading for from Matt Painter, is Final Four, is to really become a national champion contender. We haven't really seen that, frankly, that often. I mean, I think the last time Purdue made the Final Four was 2002 or something like that. This team has the chance for it. This is a very talented team. They live up to their ranking, and I mean they're proving it today. Up 9 right now against the Michigan Wolverines.
Michigan's going to have to do it without Hunter Dickinson, who currently isn't on the floor. He's substituted out for Brandon Johns Jr. Into the game for Eric Hunter Jr. is number 11 Isaiah Thompson. Michigan with the basketball across the midcourt stripe goes Brooks, defended by Thompson very closely. Gets a screen from Johns. Brooks looking for somewhere to go with the ball. He drives. Left corner kick. Houston for three. Rims out. Rebound tips its way to Trevion Williams. Here comes Purdue and Isaiah Thompson. Gives away to Jaden Ivey, and look out. Back to the top of the key for Isaiah Thompson, defended by Brooks. Thompson with a little flip pass to Stefanovic at the left wing. Stefanovic wanted to get it inside to Williams. Nonetheless, gives the top of the key to Gillis, back to Ivey. Now he gives it to Williams, about 5 feet from the rim. A nice pass. Stefanovic off the glass.
Yeah, and you got to feel bad for Moussa Diabate right there. He has his absolute hands full right now guarding Trevion Williams and did a great job. But Eli Brooks got a little lazy there on the cut by Stefanovic.
Brooks getting a screen from Johns. Johns to the right wing. Gives it to Bufkin. Bufkin got bumped by Ivey. Nonetheless, gives it to Houston, who works off the glass and through. Michigan back under 10. 55-46 is Purdue's lead.
There we go. That's 2 straight looks for Caleb Houston. He missed the open 3 right before, able to make up for it with a little floater. And a little 2-3 zone, it looks like, by Michigan right here.
Michigan was successful in the 2-3 coming into this half. Jaden Ivey with 13 minutes to play, 15 on the shot clock. Up by 9. Ivey works his way into the paint, gives away Williams' 2-hand stop. Michigan came with a double team, too high on Ivey, and Trevion Williams puts it home. That's the easiest bucket he'll get today. Brooks nearing the left wing for Michigan, gets a double team. Now works around a screen from Diabate to the corner. Houston, he'll try again a 3. Give me that.
Well, there we go. That is 3 straight looks for Caleb Houston defensively. We'll see if they go back into the zone. I have a feeling they will. Yes, they will here. Michigan, got to stay disciplined in the zone. Force a 3 if you need to, but do not collapse on one player down low.
Ivey around a screen, finds his way inside the paint. He'll work against Johns. A turnaround jumper, can't find its way home. Williams, an offensive rebound. He'll go into Diabate. He'll draw a foul, and he'll go to the free throw line. Yeah, and you're going to foul a guy. Trevion Williams is probably the one. He shoots 54% on the season.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to say, because Purdue has some solid shooters. If you're going to send a guy, Trevion Williams, you're fine with it. But one thing I'll say with the 2-3 zone is that what often happens is that you get better 3-point looks when you're going up against a zone. This is, I think, Jace Howard saying, you know what, I'm fine with that. If it's Jaden Ivey taking 3s, I'm fine with it. Maybe even Stefanovic, who is a 3-point specialist. He'd just rather get the ball out of Trevion Williams and Zach Edey's hands because, frankly, they have been feasting on Michigan's interior defense.
The first free throw from Williams was pure. And he'll go to shoot a second.
Dickinson getting a very warm welcome back to this game from the Purdue faithful here.
Yeah, I don't think they like all the celebrating. Williams from the line takes a long, deep stare at the rim. A deep breath, 1 dribble, and a spin. Fires it from above his head, and it's in. He goes 2 for 2.
And here we go. Wolverines, they need to free up the 3-point shooters. Let's see if they go back to Caleb Houston. I'd love to see Eli Brooks continue this playmaking right here.
Lead is 10 for Purdue, 59-49. Brooks loses the handle. Williams on the steal. He loses it, and people are on the floor. Gillis gives it back to Hunter Jr., who's back in the game for Purdue. Williams, a long pass to Thompson at the left wing, who's defended by Johns. There's a mismatch, and now it's switched off by Michigan down below with Williams and Dickinson. Ivey gets a screen. Ivey to the block, and he backs it out with 7 on the shot clock. Defended by Williams. That's a mismatch. And Ivey was going to try to end Hunter Dickinson down below. Nonetheless, there was a foul call that we're under 12. A 10-point deficit for the Wolverines, 59-49. The foul goes against Terrence Williams, his first.
Jaden Ivey, have some mercy for Hunter Dickinson. He was getting ready to just absolutely, put him on a poster right there. My goodness. But listen, what's very interesting that I just want to touch on real quick is that Michigan switched to that 2-3 zone when Moussa Diabate was in at center. Interestingly enough, they switch out of it once Hunter Dickinson comes back in and they go straight up man. I have a feeling that Jace Howard doesn't like the Moussa Diabate matchup with Zach Edey, with guys like Zach Edey and Trevion Williams down low. He doesn't like it. He's trying to get the ball out of their hands by going to that zone with Moussa Diabate. So maybe we don't see it happen the rest of this game while Hunter Dickinson is on the floor. And you'd have to think that with the way Dickinson has been playing today, he's probably going to be staying in possibly for the, until the very end of this game, frankly.
Michigan can't fall behind by too much more. I mean, I mentioned earlier the lead had ballooned to 5, and now it's up to 10 with 11:43 to play. And Michigan, they're going to have to keep getting the open looks for guys like Caleb Houston, who can be a microwave at times. And you just need a couple of shots to go home. And all of a sudden, the momentum shifts back in the favor of Michigan. They're going to need that momentum shift soon because they cannot let this lead get much higher than 10. The all-time lead in this game is 12 for Purdue early in the first half.
Yeah, you'd have to think that this Michigan sort of reaching a danger zone right here, being down 10 with just 11:43 to go against the number 4 team in the country on the road. Michigan needs to come out of this timeout. If they can just shave this lead to, I don't know, 5 points by the time you reach the under 8 timeout, they'll be in relatively good shape and in striking distance.
With that, Neil Sinha, your beautiful sign off, as Daniel Olson's going to take over for the rest of the 11:43 and join me here as my color commentator. With a 10-point deficit for the Wolverines, we're going to have a broadcasting switch up. Daniel, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. We've got a good one brewing here in West Lafayette. It's been the Jaden Ivey show here in the second half for Purdue.
Of course, I have to ask you about the road trip here. Your experience had to have been pretty interesting from the back right seat in the car.
Yep. Yeah, it was solid. I got a little reading done, which is always nice.
Got some homework done.
Exactly.
A good student. So if any of the professors of Daniel Olson are listening, he's doing your homework.
Exactly.
But I need your perspective on this game right now. Michigan down by 10, 11:43. Plenty of time for Michigan to come back. What do they have to do specifically to get back in this ball game?
Well, they've got to take care of the ball. They can't be giving up opportunities to get baskets here down the stretch. They've been a little sloppy with it recently. They've got to get good shots. They've run some good stuff, executed it pretty well. It's just about making the shots. And on the other end, they got to contain the pick and roll a little bit better. It's been a lot of easy rolls for Purdue and man-to-man, getting easy buckets for Travion Williams. And of course, Jaden Ivey is going to be tough to stop, but he's got Purdue going right now, and this crowd is ready to blow the roof off this place. So Michigan's got to make a couple plays here soon to quiet the crowd and get their confidence back and kind of get back into this game a little bit.
And I have to also ask you about the atmosphere. What do you think about Mackey Arena? It's your first time. This is your first road trip with WCBN.
Yeah,
what do you think about the atmosphere?
I mean, it's unreal in here. It's like it's more noisy than you would think it would be. You come in, you look at it, it's like, oh, it's a lot of people in here, pretty packed. But the way the noise bounces around, I mean, like I said, this place is ready to blow the top off. Passionate, everybody's in. These clapping chants have just started right now. I mean, it's one heck of an atmosphere. One amazing opportunity for all the men on the court to show what they're made of in front of a bunch of really passionate basketball fans.
Purdue's going to go with a change on the floor coming into the game as Caleb first. Haven't seen much of him today. No action in the second half until right now. Jaden Ivey's going to be shooting 2 free throws into the game for the first time for Michigan today is Jace Howard.
It's a little surprising there. A little late to bring in a new substitution. Jace is always bringing the energy off the bench, though.
Jaden Ivey shooting 2 off of the Terrence Williams foul. Couple spins with the right and left hands. Bend of the knees of fire, and it rattles home. An 11-point spread for Purdue. And the second one for Ivey falls home as well. 12-point lead for Purdue. And here comes Michigan into the front court for Devontae Jones. He gets a screen from Dickinson. He'll find his way to the paint and reel his way back out. Caleb Houston, the Terrence Williams at the top of the key. A screen from Dickinson. Williams gives to Dickinson. Over to Houston in the right corner. Houston drives the lane. Haven't seen much of that, and he draws a foul inside.
Excellent take there by Houston. Little pump fake on the 3, jab step and go. Strong take to the rack right there. Earned the 2 free throws. He's coming up a little bit gimpy as well, though.
Seems as if Michigan fans have been urging him to do that this whole season, to drive the lane a little bit more. And you're right, Caleb Houston, but the right ankle looks a little bit gimpy. His first free throw is no good. Juwan Howard standing behind the official on the far sideline as trying to teach him form like he's a second grade ball player. Caleb Houston. Michigan trails by 12, looking to make it 11. The second one rolls home.
Those are important points, though. Every point down the stretch here is going to count big time.
Especially in a ruckus environment like this one.
Exactly.
In the backcourt, Hunter's being scoundreled by Howard. And that's a 10-second violation. Juwan Howard with a big old fist bump on the far sideline. And Michigan's going to get possession here. Jace Howard getting high fives from all of his Wolverine teammates who wear the maize and blue down at Keedy Court.
That's why Jace is in there. I mean, he's in there to provide energy. Michigan switched it up with a little bit of press, and Purdue wasn't quite ready for it. Excellent stop by Michigan.
Devontae Jones wheels around a screen from Dickinson. He'll find his way to the paint, give to Jace Howard. Jace gives it to Dickinson at the free throw line for a jumper, pure.
Hunter Dickinson's been money today.
Back under 10. When Jaden Ivey's into the front court, he drives inside the paint, gives it away to Williams, who's defended by Williams the second for Michigan. Top of the key for Thompson, back to Eric Hunter Jr. Hunter gives away to Ivey at the left wing, defended by Jace Howard, and there's a foul. He got a little bit handsy. He fell behind and grabbed Ivey from behind.
Yep, Ivey got him with the quick step. Ivey is an athletic freak. Jace is going to have to keep his energy up, move his feet quickly if he wants to stay in front of him. It's a tough ask just coming off the bench this late into the game.
Against a top 5 draft pick as well.
Exactly.
Purdue playing a bit of the 3-man weave into the front court. Hunter giving it away to Ivey for a right corner 3. No good. Rebound goes to Houston and Michigan. Back to Devontae Jones. Michigan quickly into the offense. Jace Howard in the corner. He almost looked at a 3-pointer, and Coach Howard yelling in his ear says, "No, thank you, son." Jones drives inside the paint, puts up a floater with the right hand, and it kicks home off the back iron.
Beautiful. Jones has had some chances at the rim in the second half. He's got a couple of them called back for charges, but that was a beautiful floater right there.
First to the right wing. 3-pointer for Hunter at finds bottom.
That's the issue with the press right there, is if it gets beat, you got to hustle back, know where you're supposed to be at the court. Michigan leaves a wide open man.
Jones loses the handle, finds his way inside. It goes off the top of the backboard, but there's a foul called. It'll go against Travion Williams.
A little bit of a bailout from Jones and Michigan there. He was a little out of control, dribbling around on the baseline. Somehow got a shot up, and they're going to give him a foul and 2 free throw shots.
You can hear much of the demise of the crowd.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure about that call, but Michigan fans will take it. Those are the breaks that they need down the stretch. They're going to have to steal some possessions here, and that's what Howard's trying to do with the press. But you're also going to have to make your free throws if you want any chance of closing this gap.
A loud Purdue crowd looks at Devontae Jones, who sinks the first free throw. Michigan's back under 10. Weber, Stefanovic, and Edie re-enter, but Jaden Ivey goes to the bench along with Travion Williams. So Eli Brooks comes back in for Michigan, who will sit down Caleb Houston. Devontae Jones has been very good at the line so far for Michigan this season. Trying to make it an 8-point game. A little flick of the wrist and it finds bottom as well. First will inbound for Purdue, who gives it to Hunter Jr., defended by Howard. And look at Jace Howard, all the energy on the floor that you could possibly need. And the ball's loose on the ground. Hunter loses it, but there's a foul called, and Juwan Howard's not going to like that one.
No, but Jace did kind of put the arms around Purdue player there.
And that'll put Purdue into the bonus.
There. Yeah, it's an unfortunate one to give up, but Juwan will take the hustle. He'll take the intensity and the grit right now. Although Purdue being in the bonus with 9:38 to go is not ideal for Michigan. A lot of chances for free points on that end.
Hunter hasn't shot a free throw here today. 9:38 remaining in the ball game. Purdue leads by 8. Hunter for the 1-and-1. First one's good. Purdue shooting 52% on the day, 26 of 50. Here's the second one from Hunter, who wears the white uniforms and neon green shoes. And the second one finds bottom as well. 10-point game. Crowd about to get into it here in West Lafayette. Jones gives away to Brooks at the free throw line. Over to Williams at the left wing. To Dickinson at the left block. He goes up against Edie. Dickinson gets blocked from behind by Stefanovic. He tried to go up off the glass, and Stefanovic came in like a blazing missile and blocked him from behind. Hunter has the ball currently for Purdue. He gets a double screen from Edie. He drives inside the lane looking for somewhere to go with it. Hunter gets handsy and takes it away from Hunter.
Excellent defense there by Dickinson, keeping the hands active. He's got a lot to deal with on this end with the big Zach Edie.
Inbound goes to Stefanovic in the corner, and here we go. Edie against Dickinson in the right post. He picked up his dribble a little bit too early. Edie's dead. Stefanovic from the corner. Stefanovic drives. A reverse layup is in. Look at the English on that one from Sasha Stefanovic.
The saucy move there from Stefanovic. A little English off the glass.
Here's Devontae Jones. Michigan trails by 12. Largest lead of the day for Purdue. Jones gets a screen from Dickinson. Finds his way inside the paint. Jace Howard into contact from Edie, and he's fouled.
Excellent take, though, by Jace. Way to attack the rim. Edie thought he had his arm straight up. Ref disagreed. Tough to tell from this angle exactly how much of a foul that is. I'm sure the Purdue reaction will tell you.
I'm pretty sure any home crowd would tell you if they liked a foul or not. Jace Howard at the line shooting for Michigan. Only stats he's accumulated on the day are personal fouls. And there's his first point. Trying to make it a 10-point game. Sitting down, Caleb First and Isaiah Thompson, Jaden Ivey, and Mason Gillis back into the game for the 19-3 Purdue Boilermakers. 8:35 to play. And Jace Howard misses the second one off back iron. Edie grabs the rebound for Purdue.
Tough points to leave out there for Michigan.
8 total rebounds for Zach Edie. Falling down was Hunter. Stefanovic at the left wing, defended by Terrence Williams from Michigan. To the top of the key for Hunter. Jace Howard, he crouches, closely defends as Hunter gets a screen from Edie. He drives inside the paint. Wanted a little turnaround Jay. Hunter drives. He gets the shot. No good, but out of bounds goes Gillis, who threw it back into play where Terrence Williams took it. Jones on the drive, scoops and scores into Stefanovic. Back under 10. It's a 9-point lead.
Excellent move there from Devontae Jones. One-on-one on the wing. Went right at him, and a sweet little right-handed finish.
Michigan playing a half-court trap zone that goes into a full press. Hunter is scalded in the backcourt, and that should have been a 10-second violation, but it's taken away by Michigan. And Devontae Jones was knocked down by Jaden Ivey on the far end of the floor. They'll laugh it off, but there's a foul, I think, going against Purdue, and we'll find out from the public address announcer here in just a moment. It will go against Purdue, against Eric Hunter. There should have been a 10-second count in the backcourt. There is 18 seconds by the time the foul was called. Nonetheless, Michigan will get possession, and man, the defense from Jace Howard has been fantastic here on the full-court press.
Yeah, Jace Howard has come in and has done an excellent job. He's done exactly what he's supposed to do. Come in, bring energy, lead the front of the zone press, and it's messing with Purdue right now. They're having some troubles bringing it across the floor. That's already 2 turnovers on the press. And that's exactly what Juwan Howard wants from the press, because Michigan needs to steal some possessions here down the stretch to try and get back in this game.
And you look at this Michigan team and you say, although Jace Howard, he can't score all that well. However, the defensive side of the ball for Jace Howard has been nothing but spectacular, at least today. And you can even say for the rest of the season that Jace has been very good on the defensive end. What is it about the spark plug for Michigan and Jace Howard that just gets these guys buzzing? Is it just the defense and the press, or do you think he's a vocal leader as well?
I think it's a bit of both. I think it's just the overall energy and attitude and sort of this passion for playing the game of basketball. As a player who doesn't get maybe the same opportunities to be on the court as everybody else, when you get that chance, you really want to make the most of it. And he's done an excellent job tonight. And even in other games when he's been needed off the bench, he's provided excellent energy, excellent enthusiasm. And I think people, when you're on a team, you kind of, you celebrate the successes of those who may not get the same opportunities, right? It's one of those things where you kind of grow around or really support the players that are doing well and taking advantage of their chances, because, you're all part of a team and everybody's working towards the same end goal, and any way you can get there by any means is what it's going to take. And Jace has really stepped in well today, and hopefully he can continue to bring this energy.
Well, Daniel, 7:43 to go in the second half. Michigan trails by 9. What exactly is the blueprint that Juwan Howard's laying out for Michigan to get back into this game? Because it is by no means over here in West Lafayette.
Definitely defensive activity, I think, is going to be key. They're going to have to turn Purdue over. Active hands, active feet, moving, and without fouling too. Purdue is already in the bonus, so any contact by a Michigan player that's deemed illegal, deemed a foul, is going to be giving Purdue 3 points. And at this point, Michigan cannot afford that. They're also going to have to make some threes. I think that's just going to be the reality of it. They're not going to be able to hold Purdue to 68 for the rest of the game. So they're going to have to make some shots. They're going to have to move the ball, keep it swinging, keep it moving, and really just have faith that they can win this game. Juwan Howard is excellent at instilling belief and confidence in his players, and he's going to have to give one heck of a motivational speech here. It's going to take quite a lot to overcome this Purdue team, this Mackey Arena, Mackey crowd down the stretch.
And what do you think about playing the same opponent 2 times in less than 7 days? That's got to be tough for any team. Of course, Michigan will play in a tournament where they play back-to-back days. Nonetheless, the same opponent at back-to-back arenas, Wexler Center, Mackey Arena, that's got to be tough for a team.
Yeah, I mean, you get a little bit of a blueprint on what to fix and improve for next time. But Hunter Dickinson is going to be feeling it because he's been dealing with Zach Edie all day, and they're just banging bodies down low. Zach Edie is a large human being.
Right.
Up here. I mean, it is unreal how big that dude is.
Caleb Houston back into the game for Michigan. He joins Williams, Jones, Brooks, and Dickinson. Jones from the right wing wheels around Dickinson. There will be a foul called on Zach Edie. And he stepped out of bounds, but he was bounced out by Edie.
Yeah, the Purdue faithful probably don't agree with that, but it was pretty clear from our angle. A little bit of a hip check there from Edie as Jones went by.
Nice work. Zach Edie, 7'4" from Toronto, Canada. I don't think I've seen an ounce of emotion on his face anytime I've ever watched this young man play. Jones circles his way to the top of the key to Houston at the right wing. Dickinson. He's a little ways out there. He'll try a jump shot. He misses and hits front iron.
He's been going to that jump shot a lot more recently. It's been pretty effective for him. That one came up a little bit short, but it certainly helps with the spacing for Michigan on the offensive side.
Michigan still looks to be in the zone. They switch to a 3-2 this time. And Gillis from the left elbow gives to Edie, who runs into Dickinson, falls over, and will go the other way. That's a charge. And Hunter Dickinson is holding his face as if he were gotten elbowed in the chin, and the referees will take a look at the monitor.
Might have been a decent acting job there for Dickinson. Edie was definitely leaning on him, but we'll see here.
Well, that can only make guys like us smile up here after we see the foul call, but the paint crew certainly won't like that one.
Yeah, certainly not a flagrant. Honestly, probably not even a foul, but well, they can, like I said, Michigan's got to get some calls like that down the stretch if they want a chance in this one. Excellent positioning by Dickinson down low as well.
Matt Painter can do nothing but smile. And the foul will remain just a common foul against Zach Edie. Nonetheless, it's number 7. Michigan will go into the bonus. However, with that being an offensive foul, Michigan will just take over on possession, trailing by 9. 7:06 remaining here in West Lafayette. Michigan not out of this one yet, folks. Williams from the top of the key. He's defended by Gillis. Jones at the left wing gets a screen from Dickinson. Circles around. Houston a 3-point try. Can't find bottom. Rebound goes to Ivy and Purdue.
It's a good look there. Good execution.
Ivy, crafty dribble. He wanted to try and put Hunter Dickinson on a poster for the second time, but the ball trickled out of bounds. Michigan will take over.
You could see he was gearing up. He was winding up to throw that thing down hard, and so was the crowd. They were getting ready to cheer, but just lost it on the way up.
The roof would have been blown off this place. Devontae Jones taking his time with the dribble at the Purdue logo. 13 on the timer for Michigan. Dickinson from outside the 3-point arc. There will be a foul call, and it's off ball. And it looks like Eli Brooks will go to the line. Eric Hunter Jr. picks up his 4th personal foul, the team's 8th. and Michigan will shoot 1 and 1.
Another great set by Michigan. Williams being stationary. Brooks running hard off that screen. And Hunter Jr. just going a little bit too hard. Knocks Brooks off his course.
Eli Brooks to shoot free throws for Michigan. Michigan's best free throw shooters. Dealing with that finger injury still, he makes his first one. He'll get the bonus. And here comes Jace Howard back into the game, calmly putting on the Batman mask. And that means you can assume that a full court press will be coming for the Wolverines. If Brooks were to make this one. 8-point lead, the second free throw, off the front of the rim, back of the rim, and falls home. And into the full court press goes Michigan. Thompson inbounds to Gillis, and here we go from the backcourt. 6 seconds to go. Thompson trying to get it across. Can't do so quite yet. Gets it to Williams, and Purdue's into the offense. They'll still have 20 seconds on the timer as Houston goes to the table for Michigan. Thompson controls with a between-the-legs dribble. Gives away to Williams at the right wing. Williams, a little flip to Ivy, who finds his way inside the paint, defended by Brooks. Throws it off the glass, can't get it to fall, and Dickinson grabs the rebound.
Excellent defense there by Eli Brooks. Feet were active, hands were up. Made the shot tough for Jaden Ivey.
Brooks has the ball at the right wing for Michigan. He drives inside the paint, gives it to Dickinson. Into Williams with the left-hand hook, and it falls through. Michigan's back within 5. Don't go anywhere, anybody. 5:40 to play. The spread is a 5 against Michigan. Michigan in the backcourt playing nice defense. 4 on the timer. Stefanovic barely gets it in time. Ivy drives, gives it to Williams. Williams into Dickinson. Off the glass and in.
A beautiful dish there from Jaden Ivey. Drew Hunter Dickinson's attention. Dropped it off over his shoulder to Williams for the easy deuce.
And before the crowd can get into it, Michigan hauls over to the far sideline to call a timeout. The 7-point lead for Purdue. And Michigan has done a fantastic job of not letting this lead balloon to anything larger than 12, because if it got much larger than 12, Michigan doesn't necessarily have the shooting capabilities to stay into this ballgame, but they've done a good job of keeping that lead relatively close.
Exactly. And I think once it gets above 12, this place it's gonna be impossible to hear. It's gonna be impossible to communicate, and it's gonna make it all the more difficult because they're ready. We keep saying it, but this place they're
ready to explode.
They are ready. They are ready to go. And they're just waiting for that moment. And Michigan's not giving it. There's not making it easy on Purdue for that to happen. Showed a lot of really good grit here down the stretch these past 6-7 minutes.
Even the last couple of games, Michigan just showed incredible grit. Even the Nebraska game was a bit closer than a lot of people wanted. End of the game, they got the job done. Michigan will inbound. Into the offense is Devontae Jones. 20 on the timer. Dickinson looking for him to wheel back around. They'll give a handoff, and Jones will wheel back around to the corner. Dickinson from the left post, dribbling with the left hand, looking to spin. 8 on the timer. Throws it up, somehow gets the miracle to fall.
Tough shot there. That left hook of Hunter Dickinson's. What a finish.
Houston gets screened by Stefanovic in the backcourt. 5 to get across the midcourt line. And Ivy is defended by Dickinson. You want to get out of that if you're Michigan. Back into the 3-2 zone. Thompson from the Purdue logo. Jones and Brooks are the closest. Terrence Williams, the second, is the next. Gillis, top of the key for Williams. He doesn't want to be out there. In the corner for Thompson. Thompson to the top of the key for Stefanovic. Stefanovic drives. Right hand, man. That's a nice crafty move by Sasha Stefanovic and the Purdue Boilermaker guard. A stop here on defense and a score for Purdue would ignite this crowd. It's currently a 7-point lead. Williams for Michigan. Gives it away to Dickinson. Michigan will look to reset. Terrence Williams with 10. He gives it away. And Travion Williams has it for Purdue, who gives it away to Ivy at the logo.
Can't have possessions like that. It's too easy of a pass to take away.
Jaden Ivey drives on Devontae Jones and got a foul call. Sadie Washington on the sideline for Michigan is urging the referees to have some kind of a call, and so was Devontae Jones. And I saw the same thing, that Ivy was tugging on the jersey of Devontae Jones. Nonetheless, a foul goes against Devontae. This is the same officiating crew. If you remember that Northwestern game, 46 total foul calls. That's the high in the NCAA this season. It's the same crew here today. They've been pretty efficient, I'd say, so far. However, Michigan not liking that last one.
Well, as the intensity as the intensity climbs in this game, the physicality will as well, especially with the last 4 minutes to go. And I'd imagine if this crew is fond of blowing the whistle, that we might get quite a few more whistles here down the stretch, especially with the score the way that it is.
Michigan currently trails by 7. Under 4 timeout going on right now. 3:57 left to play in this ball game before Michigan heads back home to Ann Arbor for about 1 day. And then they have to head out to Happy Valley to play at Penn State on Tuesday. They'll then return home to play against this same Purdue Boilermakers team on Thursday. And then Saturday, they'll play at home against Ohio State. So you got 4 games in 7 total days. How do you even deal with that?
Well, it's a lot about people being ready when their number is called on the bench. Everybody's going to have to play a role. It's tough to play 4 games in 7 days. And I know for the Big Ten tournament they do. But at that point, you're kind of running on a lot of adrenaline because it's a chance to be called Big Ten champions. But, I mean, it's early February. It's cold, middle of the semester. Just kind of grinding through the months. But these are big games for Michigan, and they can't let them slip. Juwan knows this. The whole team knows this. So they got to be ready to step up when their name is called and go out and execute like Jace has done tonight.
Michigan under 4 minutes. They've got to knock down a couple more shots, get a couple more open looks than they've been getting. They just cannot turn the ball over, and they've got to force a couple on the side of Purdue because they are just so darn good at taking care of that basketball. They don't turn it over very much. Only 7 on the game today.
And I like the way Juwan's managing this down the stretch. He's got Jason, Caleb Houston interchanging pretty frequently at the subs. Jace will get that a little bit more of that defensive energy with the press to try and create some of those turnovers. And then when it's time to get some offensive possession and he's got a chance, he gets Caleb Houston, the shooter, back in there for Michigan. I think that's some excellent coaching there by Juwan as he sits over there with the team in his huddle, trying to draw something up.
Like I mentioned earlier, this atmosphere, all it would take for Purdue is about one more big basket.
Yeah.
And this place would have absolutely erupted. But Jaden Ivey gave a turnover over to Michigan, a couple missed shots, Michigan grabbing some clutch rebounds and keeping themselves in the game. I don't really know how they've kept it within this 12 points because it seems like the whole time the momentum has been in favor of Purdue besides late in that first half when Hunter Dickinson knocked home a couple of 3-pointers.
Yeah, it's been a very scrappy performance for Michigan here in the second half. They've shown a lot of fight, a lot of heart. They just keep going at it. They're not giving up quite yet. But like you said, I mean, we're a Jaden Ivey dunk and a Purdue 3-pointer away from this place getting crazy in here. So Michigan's on thin margins right now.
Caleb Houston checks back in for the Wolverines. Jaden Ivey will go to the free throw line for Purdue. 2 for 2 today, looking to make it 3 for 3. He swishes the first one. And the Purdue lead is now 8. Purdue in the all-white uniforms, Ivy wearing the black and red Nike swoosh shoes. Dickinson and Williams set to box out the Purdue surge from Williams and Gillis. Ivy's second rattles home. 9-point lead for Purdue. This is a big Michigan possession here. 3 minutes, 50 seconds to play. Jones gives it to Williams. Double team comes to Dickinson. There's a foul. And Hunter Dickinson will be helped up by his teammates after looking like he was a bit wobbly for a minute. Yeah, he's getting up a little gimpy.
I think he took a knee to the side of the leg there. Purdue fans are not happy given his acting down on the other side just a minute ago, but this one was a foul. It's 2 shots for Hunter.
And Hunter's first free throw of the 1-and-1 is pure. Michigan trails by 8 points. 3:46 to play. Here's Hunter's second. And that one's good as well. And Hunter Dickinson, after a bit of an obscene chant at him while shooting free throws, pumps up the Purdue crowd. Michigan still trails by 7. Public enemy number 1, Hunter Dickinson. Jaden Ivey goes up and grabs the ball, and Purdue will still control it. They wanted a foul against Michigan. He came down clean. Michigan's got to step it up on the defensive end right now. 10 to shoot. Ivey into the lane. Ivey against Dickinson. Circles his way around. He lost a dribble. 5 on the timer. Michigan's got to step up. Ivey, a deep three, can't find bottom. Jones grabs the rebound for the Wolverines. Jones to the corner. Houston. He'll drive inside. He'll go against Gillis, and there's a block foul called. He'll go to the free throw line, and the Purdue faithful do not like that call. Nonetheless, looked like he was inside the restricted area, and Michigan will take 2 free throws.
Gillis a little slow getting up. From past experiences, usually when you're a little slow getting up, that means you took it a little, didn't take it quite straight on, like the definition of a charge. He's been laying his body out there on the line, though. Excellent take by Caleb Houston. Went up strong to the rack. Thought he was just going to settle for the 3. And the Purdue faithful are not happy with the officiating for that night.
Caleb Houston at the line to shoot 2 for Michigan. 3:12 to play. They trail by 7. Houston's first free throw is good as the extremely loud Purdue crowd making themselves known around Mackey Arena. Everyone on their feet. 6-point lead. Houston's second free throw is good. 5-point lead. Michigan with 3:12 to play. They are in this one, folks. 74-69. Full court press from the Wolverines. Hunter gets it into the front court before a double team comes. Williams has the ball top of the key for Purdue. They give it away to Hunter. Michigan in a 2-3 zone. Hunter circles his way back to the left wing where Ivey stands. Gives him the ball. Stefanovic inside Williams against Dickinson, who will get called for a reach and foul. And that's just lack of the intelligence of the situation for Hunter Dickinson. Just stand up straight, try and play defense, because it looked like he was going to force up a shot. And the Purdue crowd, they will absolutely enjoy any Hunter Dickinson foul that they can get.
Yeah, that was a poor reach there from Dickinson. He thought he got ball, but that's not a chance you can take in this moment, especially with your team climbing back to within 5. Got to just keep the hands up and move the feet there.
Williams, a 54% shooter, misses the first one. And there's an offensive rebound by Gillis. Michigan, a bad job of boxing out. They needed that rebound, down by 5.
Those are the possessions that you can't give up. That's almost a turnover, even though it won't go down as one on the stat sheet.
Ivey, 5 to shoot, drives inside on Dickinson, gets the layup to go. That is just extension from Jaden Ivey. Crowd back to their feet. Leads at 7 for Purdue. At the logo, Jones drives, kicks to the corner for Brooks. Brooks back outside. Dickinson to the corner. Devontae Jones, a wide open 3. Bring it home!
Big shot from Devontae.
And now you look back to those 2 points from Jaden Ivey. This should be a 2-point game if Michigan boxes out.
Yeah.
2:05 to play in this ball game. The lead is 4. Stefanovic over to Ivey. He gets a screen from Williams. Stefanovic, a 3-pointer off the front of the rim. Rebound goes to Michigan. Houston, he bounces around, gives it to Dickinson. Here comes Michigan racing the other way. Jones decides not to slow it down. He'll give it to Houston to the left wing. He should have traveled with it. He should have gotten a call there. Dickinson with the ball now at the left wing for Michigan, just inside the 3-point arc. Ball goes out of bounds, and it's Purdue basketball. And that one will go to review. I think it's going to be given back to Purdue. And Hunter Dickinson was just called for the same thing against Travion Williams, but the call does not go the other way on the reach-in. And it looks like it's going to be out on Michigan.
Yeah, that's a tough one. We have the benefit of replay on the big board.
You know what, Daniel? This might be one of those calls that they say it got knocked out of his hands. However, although Dickinson still kind of had it in that realm of his grip, they might still call it out of bounds on Purdue. but I'm not sure the referees would get out of here all that safely if they gave it back to Michigan.
Yeah, I think by technicalities, from what we've seen, that looks to be off Dickinson. But it's one of those where the Purdue player clearly makes the swipe at it and causes a change in direction of the ball that Dickinson isn't making a lunge for it or a reach for it to try and regain possession of it. It's a big time call here though, because it's only 3 or 4 full possessions left in this game. And Michigan being down 2 possessions, they kind of need this call to go their way right now.
If anyone can remember back to the last time Purdue actually beat Michigan was in Ann Arbor on a call very similar to this one that included Mo Wagner. And the referees give the ball over to Purdue. That's a tough call going the other way for Michigan. Hunter Dickinson's just got to be a little bit more careful with the grip of that basketball. It's another turnover for Michigan.
Yeah, excellent defensive play by Trey. Active hands. And that was a much better time to kind of reach in as well with Dickinson face up, whereas the other time Dickinson reached in with Williams back turned toward him.
Michigan goes with an ISO press. Hunter Jr. is pressed by Jones. Hunter gets it across the timeline with no issue. 20 on the timer for Purdue. Matt Painter directing traffic from the sideline. Stefanovic over to Ivy, defended by Houston. This is a big-time possession for Caleb Houston on defense. Ivy gets trapped, somehow splits, and there's a foul called on Michigan.
Well, I mean, you mentioned it before. This officiating crew does like to blow the whistle.
That one goes against Caleb Houston, who was, he grabbed him a little bit.
Yeah.
And Jaden Ivey will go to the line to shoot 2. So Michigan's had plenty of opportunities in the last 60 seconds. But Jaden Ivey will go to the line. A couple of dribbles with the right hand and a spin with the left. Squats, fires. First one somehow falls through. Hit off the back iron, front iron, backboard, almost anything, even the shot clock, it seemed like. And Purdue's up by 5. To take a 6-point lead, Jaden Ivey, a big deep breath. From the line, hits the same exact routine, and hits the second. Michigan trailing by 6, 1:19 to play. Crowd, everyone on their feet here in West Lafayette. Jones gets a screen from Dickinson. Jones inside. Dickinson loses the basketball, and it goes over to Purdue. Michigan's just been so careless with the ball here in the past minute.
Yeah, a little loose with the basketball this last minute, as you just mentioned. Oh, and hit him right in the hands.
Michigan pressing in the backcourt. 5 seconds to the cross. Hunter somehow gets it over, but it's tipped. And they'll have 1 second with a minute to play now. 60 seconds remaining.
Michigan's executed this press well. I haven't seen it much this year. Wouldn't be surprised if we see it again on Thursday, the next time these two teams match up.
Stefanovic has to get the ball into the front court for Purdue. He does, gets it to Williams, and Dickinson will foul. That'll be his 4th. And I'll tell you what, if Hunter Dickinson fouls out, he might not get a very warm reception out of here.
Yeah, I have to take that foul on Travion Williams, though. Not the best free throw shooter. So this is Michigan's chance to get away with getting a stop here.
And you'd think it was a good idea to put him to the line last time. However, Mason Gillis grabbed an offensive rebound for the Boilermakers. Williams' first free throw. Off front iron, back iron, and in. Man, they have gotten the look of the rim here in West Lafayette at the far side.
It's the home rims.
Right. Nonetheless, a 7-point lead for Purdue. Williams takes a long look, a dribble and a spin, a squat and a fire. Second one's in. Michigan's got a steep hill to climb now. 1 minute to play. A long
some
pass goes to Brooks.
Here.
Brooks across the midcourt stripe. Gives it to Houston. Hands back to Brooks in the left wing. Brooks to Dickinson, who tried to find a cutting Brooks. It's kicked out of bounds, and it almost went in the front row. I think Jace Howard was standing right there to grab it with one mitten. Jace Howard will call a quick timeout for Michigan. And at this point, Michigan, all you can do is try to take the best shot you can find and try and get back in this game. Hopefully follow Travion Williams a couple more times and get him to the line because he's your best bet of Purdue not getting points, because at this point, you don't have the time to sit around and wait. You can't not foul anymore if you're Michigan. And it looks like Purdue is going to get out of this one with the win. However, 49 seconds left. We don't want to put it past anybody.
Yeah, for Michigan to, like you said, for them to get back in, Purdue's going to have to miss some free throws, have some turnovers. Michigan can make it difficult on them this last minute. Make it 3, some easy buckets maybe, with Purdue's protecting against the 3. But everything's going to have to go right here for Michigan these last 50 seconds if they want to squeak out of here with a win or even send it to overtime at the very least.
Here at Mackey Arena, it's been a wonderful experience. Of course, we have to thank WCBN's crew for helping us get the technical difficulties figured out back home. Daniel Olson to my left and Neil Sinha to the right. I'm Zach Linfield. It's been a fun time here for Mackey Arena. 49 seconds to play. Michigan down by 8. They'll be back on the road on Tuesday. No WCBN coverage for Tuesday's game at Penn State. The team is ready to take the floor back over. Gillis, Stefanovic, Williams, Ivy, and Thompson. Excuse me, that's Hunter Jr., the final one, instead of Thompson. Michigan will have Brooks, Dickinson, Houston, Jones, and Terrence Williams is the 5th as he emerges from the crowd on the bench for the Wolverines.
Well, going to have to go quick here off the inbound. Let's see what Jawan's got dialed up.
A little surprising, no Diabate, no Collins in the final 15 minutes of play here. Jones from Michigan around the screen, gives it to Brooks. Dickinson top of the key. He might look at a 3. Instead, gives it away to Terrence Williams. Back to Dickinson. Dickinson fires a left wing 3. It's nowhere close. And Williams gets scolded. But here comes Purdue, and they're just going to dribble this clock out. But I think Michigan may give one more foul. That's exactly what they'll do. One more foul for Michigan. And it looks like this one's out of play for the Wolverines. Eli Brooks' second foul sends Jaden Ivey to the line. Who else than Jaden Ivey finished this game out for Purdue? He's the leading scorer with 22 points. No Zach Edey in the final 7 minutes of play. And Ivey's first one is missed.
Yeah. Jaden Ivey looks like a future NBA
lottery
all-star. Yeah, he looks unreal out here tonight. The prowess, the athleticism, the explosion.
Second free throw's in. And for some, this is very interesting. A 9-point spread right now for Michigan and Purdue. Michigan and Eli Brooks trying to make the score look a little bit better with 15 seconds. Jones in the corner. I don't know why Michigan isn't just throwing up a shot here. Jones gets one to fall through. 81-74. Michigan will foul one more time and send Hunter to the line. So what I thought was going to be the final will not be quite yet, as the fans ready to make their way to the exits. Jawan Howard, even with 9 seconds left, of course he'll plead his case for whatever he wants to say to the official on the far right sideline. Eric Hunter Jr. fires away. The lefty's first is in. An 8-point Purdue lead. Some would like it to be 9. Hunter second off the front of the rim. And here comes Michigan and Devontae Jones. He crosses over Jaden Ivey. Terrence Williams to the free throw line. He'll drive inside, lay it up with the right hand and in. And it looks like that will be the final score. Purdue wins 82-76 here in Mackey Arena. Purdue's leading scorer today was Jaden Ivey with 23 points. Travion Williams had 19. Zach Edey had a fantastic game as well for the Boilermakers. Michigan, though, had Hunter Dickinson have 28 points. Really quick, Daniel, before we wrap it up, what's Michigan got to improve on before Tuesday's match at Penn State?
Well, they got to come out fast and start a little stronger than the way they did today. I think they went down 20-8 early. They got punched. They were trailing the whole time. But then they're just down the stretch. They got to execute better. Purdue gave them some chances down the stretch, and Michigan was a little bit careless, a little lackluster with the ball. I mean, all in all, playing a game like this in this atmosphere is a great experience for the team, but plenty to improve upon heading into next week. It's a big week for the boys in blue.
As you mentioned, big week indeed. 3 total games for Michigan. Of course, today's game, and then Penn State Tuesday, Purdue Thursday, and then Saturday is Ohio State. Michigan loses this one 82-76. Purdue is going to go home with a victory here today. From Zach Linfield, Daniel Olson, and Neil Sinha here for WCBN, please pray for us on the way home. Good night, everybody, and go blue.